live stream issues yesterday. So let's see if it's, the service wasn't here, but I was. Oh, now we're overfloweth. All right, good. It's not.
Our minion has overflowed.
Hi, Marsha. Good morning. Really?
Really?
Wow. All right. Hey, guys. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
You know, in Eitzaim, they spell it Tisa with two S's.
Two S's. Yeah, it's so, everyone has a different spelling. Everyone has different spelling and all the other stuff too. I also spell them differently. I spell them weirdly. I spell all the Torah portions weirdly, I think. Because I don't like A. I don't like A in anything. So I do everything E. So like it's that, so everything is like ki tetse. So te, T-E-Z-E, like tetse. Like I don't like to do tetse. Does that make sense? So I spell it differently. I also don't like Y's. People like Y's. So if I have to add an I and an I don't like a Y. I have weird spellings for all those things too. Like shlach. I have some SH apostrophe.
I have to leave early, so I'm just not being.
I have to leave early too.
You have to leave early too.
So I have to leave early, and I'm going to be rude because I have to officiate a bar mitzvah. Hello. Wait, do I? How come I don't get a hi gorgeous from you?
Because you're not.
Those are fun.
Right, isn't it?
Those are fun. I know. They're fun and nice and comfy. 20 years ago, I just bought them. That's where I'm going. That's the problem. Let's start. Just we don't have time.
Botehani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechezarta b'nishmati b'chemla rabba emunatecha modehana lefanayich melech chai v'kayam shechezarta b'nishmati b'chemla rabba emunatecha.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Happy that you are here on this fine Shabbat morning. I'm apologizing in advance that I'm going to actually leave it early because there's a 10 o'clock bar mitzvah. So I'm going to be here for a little while and then I'm going to leave. I'm sorry. But you're going to get an upgrade because Robin's going to be here to finish the service for us. So Robin's here. Hello, Robin. Yay.
Hi.
Yeah.
And I'm going to apologize in advance because I forgot my glasses. So I'm going to be
You're going to be squinty.
squinty.
Yes.
Oh, look, he's giving me his reader.
Oh, you're getting
Harry.
readers.
Thank you, Harry.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's a monocle? No, I don't know how it works.
If anyone had a monocle, by
Opera
the way,
glasses?
if anyone had a monocle, it would be Harry.
Thank you, Harry, so
But
much.
by the way,
Appreciate your support. Oh, I'm going to take them too.
Go ahead, I'll clean these while you get you started.
thanks, Harry. Let's continue while Harry cleans his spectacles with
One verse?
No, let's just, we're gonna jump because I want to make sure that we
course.
accomplish as much as we can. We're gonna jump right to Psukei de Zimra. So we're gonna go to page 183 in our Siduri. 183, Psukei de Zimra.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Harry. Baruch Sherma v'haya ha'olam.
Baruch Hu. We're sitting here.
Baruch Oseh v'reishit.
Baruch Hu me've'oseh.
Baruch Ozer Mkayem.
Baruch merachem al haaretz.
Baruch Merachem al habriyot.
Baruch meshalem sachar tov l're'av.
Baruch Chai la'ad v'kaim la'netzach.
Baruch podeh umatzil, Baruch shemo.
With songs of praise we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty, for you are the source of life in the universe, one God life of the universe, praised and glorious ruler. Your name is eternal. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal v'tishbachot.
There's always time for Smilo, though, so we continue top of page 185.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha,
Od yehalelucha
Selah. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Od yehalelucha Selah. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Od yehalelucha Selah. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Od yehalelucha Selah.
We're going to continue with Shochen Ad, which can be found in the middle of page 192.
Shochen ad maharom v'kadosh shemo v'chatu raninu tzadikim baronai l'sharim nevat tehillah b'fi sharim titalal uv'divrei tzadikim titbarach ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר, שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך להד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול, והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי העולמים.
Chatzi Kaddish, 194.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילמין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Continue with our call to worship, Baruch Hu 195.
Lai la 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 lai, lai la 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 lai, lai la 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 lai, lai la 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 lai, lai la 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 lai, la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור וחושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. We continue with Ahava Rabbah on the top of page 198.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem Lagidola V'Tera Chamalta Aleinu B'Havor Avotenu V'Himotenu Shebatchu V'cha V'tamdem Chukei Chaim V'ha'erinenu B'Toratecha V'dabek Libeinu B'mitzvotecha V'yached Levahavenu Le'ahava U'lira Et Shemecha V'lo nivosh V'lo nikalem V'lo nikasher Le'olam Vaed V'lo nivosh V'lo nikalem V'lo nikasher Le'olam Vaed Ki v'shem Kodshecha Hagadol v'hanora B'atachnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha V'yeshuatecha Baruch atah Adonai Habocher be'amo Yisrael B'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
We continue with Vahafta 201.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Mi chamocha, Song of Redemption, 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדהר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטהר בקודש, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובדחנו מך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amidah begins 205.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל.
We continue with the Kedusha in the middle of page 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Melochol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Shimcha, B'chol haaretz. Baruch kivod Adonai mimkomo echadu Eloheinu hu avinu hu malkeinu hu moshienu vehu yashmienu berachamav leinei kol chai ani Adonai Elohechem Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Yitzion, ledor vador, hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid gad lecha, ulenetzach nitzachim kiddushatcha nahakdish, veshivcha Eloheinu, mipinu lo yamush, leolam vaed, baruch Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue silently now, beginning here on page 210 through page 219. When you're finished, please be seated.
Ose shalom bimromav hu yahaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu yahaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yahaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen.
We continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for reading the Torah, which can be found on page 244.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai mahalach, Adonai yimloch leolam vahed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim, heitiva vertzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki vecha levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa adolamim.
246.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlu Adonai iti, Uneramima Shemo Yachtav. Lecha Adonai Hagidula V'Hagevura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha ve'amid nahasei lechol erosh. Torah, 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 Hallelujah. Torah, 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 Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Torah, 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 Hallelujah. Torah, Ora, Torah, Ora, Hallelujah.
Well, do you want to do study first or Torah first?
We'll study first then.
Okay.
Give me a few more minutes. Sweet, thank you. Okay.
We're looking at the Torah portion called Kitisa. Kitisa. We're going to do study first and then do Torah chanting. So we're going to be studying a little bit of a different section than the beginning. So you're going to go to Exodus 31. Exodus 31, particularly 31:12, but that's where you're going. You're going to Exodus chapter 31, verse 12, but we'll be looking slightly above it too. So it's really chapter 31, essentially. It's chapter 31. But we'll be doing the top part a little bit and then really looking at verse 12, chapter 31, the book of Exodus. Chapter 31, if you're going to look in there. So just so you know, it's chapter 31 in the book of Exodus. You can get there, by the way, by going through Genesis and then into Exodus, or as we like to mention, sometimes you could start in Deuteronomy and then go backwards into Numbers, and then Numbers into Leviticus, and then Leviticus you can take yourself right into Exodus, and then back up a little, because there's really only a couple of Torah portions in the book of Exodus. So just in case you wanted to, follow along. All right, so. Do you? I have a different book than you. But does your page allow you to see like above verse 12 too a little bit, or do you have to go to another page? All right, good. Okay, you can stand on the same page. All right, good. So does it allow you to see all of start at 31? Can you see all of 31, or you have to? Okay, good. Yeah. All right, good. Excellent. Great. So I want to zoom through 31:1 through 11 just very quickly to set the stage. We're going to read through it just very quickly, and then really the conversation is going to start at 12. Ready? It's chapter 31. Chapter 31 in the.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses, "See, I have singled out by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have endowed him with the divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge in every kind of craft, to make designs for work in gold, silver, and copper, to cut stones for setting, and to carve wood, to work in every kind of craft. Moreover, I have assigned to him Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and I have also granted skill to all who are skillful, that they may make everything that I have commanded you: the tent of meeting, the ark for the pact and the cover upon it, and all the furnishings of the tent, the table and its utensils, the pure lampstand and all its fittings, and the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils, and the laver and its stand, the service vestments, the sacral vestments of Aaron the priest, and the vestments of his sons for their service as priests, as well as the anointing oil and the aromatic incense for the sanctuary, just as I have commanded you, they shall do."
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So quickly, what do we have here? Like, what's going on? What information have we found out from these 11 verses? All right. So God's talking to Moses about the tabernacle. Yeah. And is it like a quick summary, or is it a great detail? There's architectural details. It's almost like a summary also of all the conversations we've been having up until now, because some of these things are already built, some of these things are already that are kind of all set. Some of the last minute flourishes will still be happening, but it's pretty much all these components are already built. So it's kind of like a check. God has a little checklist, and God's like, okay, we did this, we talked about that, we talked about this. Yes? So that's a really good question. I don't know the answer. It's something I've also been puzzled about for forever. My presumption is that so that the artistry, meaning the builders, aren't coming from the same company. So as if to say that no one can get upset only at Bezalel because of Judah, and you know what I mean. So I think that by having two different tribes. What's that? The leadership is hypothetically, right, hypothetically, but probably the choice of these two people are to avoid any further confusion on who's in charge. And by the way, it's Bezalel that you can see gets a lot more information about him than Oholiab does. I always make this joke, and it only works with people who understand the concept, because Sears doesn't exist anymore. But they used to be called Sears and Roebuck, and Roebuck gone, right? So then it became Sears. So I feel like Oholiab is Roebuck, because they were around together, and then it just became Sears. So Bezalel, by the way, there's a Bezalel school in Israel, and it is an incredibly fabulous school of design and all kinds of design, and it makes sense. It's called the Bezalel School because of this. This is where it comes from. So yes.
I thought it was interesting that you're going through these details, kind of like we get today, an architectural overview. What was really interesting is I gave you these skill sets.
Right.
I gave you these abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want you to use those abilities to create this.
Yeah.
I kind of set up today, it's architectural review that you take to the city to get approval, so that you can then get a building permit.
Right, yeah, and and there are 1,000 steps for anyone who has tried to get any kind of permit or any some build. If it takes forever and ever and ever and ever until it's granted. So,
The reason it takes so long is because of politics, not because of.
well, exactly. But that's all the nuances that have to take place for you to be able to do this. Is you have to have all the checks.
What my colleague was saying, that's where this was overcome.
Right.
By delegating it to the different tribes.
Exactly. Oh, look at that. Oh, two of you are so good together. So nice. Yes. What's that? No, I don't know who Zoom's computer is. No. Yeah, no. So if they have phone numbers, we recognize, but no, let's not do Zoom. Thank you for catching it. So the other thing, and this is where I just kind of want to end the section here, but it's also very nice that says, and the Heckle and Jekyll, or however we call them today, picked up on it. Yeah, I will come up with a different one every time. They say, right, I have also granted skill to all who are skillful. So it doesn't limit what type of skill you have. So this could, by the way, include everyone, because we're all skilled at something. And so it's nice that there's a catch-all in that phrase too, that God says, I made all of you with the ability to do something. And so I'm asking you to take part in this. It's always been a communal effort anyway to being all of this. Okay, so, and as you see the whole last part, really starting from that last part of verse 7 all the way to 11, there's literally a list. And so the Torah clearly is not wasting words. It wants us to know every one of these items that we're talking about will clearly have deep significance, which will show up, by the way, mostly in the next few weeks as the priests become priests and they get ordained, because they have to utilize all these different components for them to be able to do it. They have to exist before, so God knew what God was doing. Okay. All right, so we have this, and then 11 ends with, just as I have commanded you, like you should do. So I told you to do this, you're going to do it. Now we go to 12. Okay. Do you want to keep reading? Does anyone want to just go ahead? Do you want to read? Anyone else? Go ahead.
And the Eternal One said to Moses, speak to the Israelite people and say, nevertheless, you must keep my Sabbaths, for this is a sign between me and you throughout the ages, that you may know that I, the Eternal, have consecrated you. You shall keep the Sabbath, for it is holy for you. One who profanes it shall be put to death. Whoever does work on it, that person shall be cut off from his kin, from among kin. 6 days may work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to the Eternal. Whoever does work on the Sabbath shall be put to death. The Israelite people shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It shall be a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel, for in 6 days the Eternal made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed.
Okay. Based on this little section, do you think the Sabbath is important? Just as a side note, I mean, I just want to put it out there.
It's to die for.
It's to die for, yes. So, why do you think it's important, perhaps? Yes?
Well, we just came through all the instructions.
Yes.
A lot of things we were supposed to do.
Yes.
But there should still be time to take off.
Excellent.
As a Reformed Jew, though.
Yes.
I question the death sentence.
Okay.
And,
Nice.
You know, I think that goes a little too far. But since I'm not going to literally believe in every word of Torah,
Okay.
but rather interpret it, I think it's more a caution to us that it's important.
Okay.
We got to take time to think, to do something different. Not the 39 things that we maybe were commanded by rabbis,
Okay.
but rather what we want to make of the Shabbat. I mean, it's rare that a Sanhedrin would put someone to death, and especially for Shabbat.
Okay. Fair. Nice. So, absolutely. There's certainly a heavy foot on this in regards to Shabbat. And if we profane it, clearly we find out, not just once, but several times, that something is not good's going to happen to us if we profane it. And then there's the reform piece, which clearly we'll be discussing in a minute. So let's hold on to the reform piece. But yes, 1 and then 2.
I've been studying with Rabbi Telushkin,
Uh-huh.
especially on this particular portion.
Yes.
And when it comes to saving a life, they can violate the Sabbath. In fact, they said in New York, there's an Orthodox congregation that has that takes care of people that, and like first aid
Mm-hmm.
on the Sabbath as well.
Yes.
So when it comes to life or death, life takes precedence in most cases.
Yes. So in terms of the life and death component in regards to Shabbat, the answer is for sure. You do whatever it takes to save a life, and then you deal with Shabbat later. There's all these varying stories about if a barn is burning down and there are people inside the barn. And it's Shabbat and it has different stories or levels, and you have to whatever tear stuff and move stuff and break stuff, then you do it. But once all the people are out, even though there might be time to save all the possessions, you can't go back in. So there's this fine line. There's a famous line. There's a famous story, and whether it's true or not, and it could be I've heard it 1,000 times, of the ultra-Orthodox rabbi whose wife gives birth at 2:30 in the morning on Shabbat, right? And so they have to go to the hospital, and so he has to get into the car. So you can't get in the car, and so the famous story is, of course, he drives his wife to the hospital, and then like most hospitals have that that roundabout, and so he stops the car at the roundabout. He leaves the car on. He helps his wife out. She gets onto kind of one of the wheelchair or a gurney or something, and they take her away. And the security guard says, you have to move your car, and he says, I can't. So we said, but it's on and the keys are in it, and he says, well, do with it whatever you want, right? It's because that person can break the Sabbath in the window of the Sabbath breaking, but then you can no longer go any further because it's all these interesting nuances. Yes?
I think it also creates community, because if everybody is resting on Shabbat, they're all going to be resting together, and that helps to say, oh, this is what we all do, and it brings everyone together.
Beautiful. It's also very communal. I will tell you that growing up in Israel, I grew up every single summer in Israel. All summer long, I was in Israel. From the second school ended until the second school started back after the summer break, I was in Israel. And and at that time that I was there, Shabbat was really kept in the country really, 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 really closely. Now less and less and less and less and less, particularly in like Tel Aviv and certain areas. But I mean, when I was so bored as like a 7 and 8-year-old, because on Shabbat there was nothing, not a peep, not a store, not a sound. And it's not that my family was Orthodox, but there was there was only 3 channels on TV anyway, in general, even not on Shabbat. There was an Arabic channel, there was a Hebrew channel, and there was one channel that was in English. So there were 3 channels in total on TV in Israel. But they weren't even on. So we could use electricity because my family was like I said, wasn't Orthodox. But the stations weren't on. So it wasn't like you could even watch anything. So there was no TV, there was no sound. You couldn't be the family who had the radio playing, because if the people next to you heard you playing the radio, you would be embarrassed even though you're not keeping Shabbat. So literally we had to like sit. And when you're like 7, it's the end of the world. I couldn't stand Shabbat growing up particularly. But like you said, Israel took care of making it for you. You couldn't even break it if you wanted. You couldn't even if you wanted to break Shabbat, it was almost impossible to do it, because your neighbors, in a good way and a sort of like checking on you way, weren't allowing you to break Shabbat. The buses weren't running. There were no taxis. God forbid a taxi drove by. But even if that person didn't keep the Sabbath, the taxi driver, and my grandfather was a taxi driver. So even though he wanted to make money, he could make extra money that day, he wouldn't dare pull that thing out of the driveway on Shabbat, because he'd be ostracized. So he'd also sit upset. We'd all be upset on Shabbat. Look at me now. Now I love Shabbat. I grew from there. So maybe it was all those years of like sitting and thinking about Shabbat that, yes.
Well, and just that feeling, because when I was in Israel, and it's like Friday, you race to get to the grocery
Yeah.
store to get all your food because you can't go on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, or even just, you know, on Saturday morning, walking to shul, you know, and you see all these other people, you don't know any of them, but you're all doing something together.
You're exactly. We're all in it. It's just this nice feeling. So yes, nice. Thank you.
Very different experience. I was in Tel Aviv on Friday night.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were in the hotel room, and right downstairs we heard singing and dancing. We said, "What are we doing in this hotel room?" We went down,
Yeah.
and we joined the family. It was singing and dancing, and it was remarkable.
It's really beautiful. I used to live in an area in Los Angeles called Pico Robertson. It's 2 streets where they meet. One's Pico, one's Robertson, and it's super Jewville. It was amazing because you could, like because in most of the area in LA, most people didn't have any air conditioning. You didn't really need air conditioning because the weather was so good all the time, except for the summer. It's a little hot, but whatever. So everyone's windows were open all the time. And so on Friday nights and Shabbat mornings, all you could hear was singing and prayers and the clanking of dishes because people were eating. And you could just walk through the street on Shabbat, even in the middle of Los Angeles, because there was a little pocket of Jewville, and it was so nice. So, yeah, please.
So we know the Torah doesn't waste any words.
Yes.
I guess I am always looking for loopholes of some sort.
Yes.
I'm looking at the end of verse 14.
You should be a lawyer, by the way. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm looking at the end of verse 14 and the end of verse 15. They seem to conflict.
Oh.
14 says, "Whoever does work on it, that person shall be cut off from among kin."
Yes.
And the end of 15 says, "Whoever does work shall be put to death."
Yes.
So if the Torah doesn't waste words, why repeat itself and why give 2 separate consequences for the same action?
They're both really bad. So it's both. It's not either or. You're going to be cut off. You're going to cut off from your kin, and or you can be put to death. And by the way, sometimes being cut off from your kin and your community is very similar to that. And by the way, not to make this any spookier, but everyone dies. So maybe it's because everyone profanes Shabbat at some point. So, right? So there's death in all of this. So it's possible that we're getting both. You could be cut off from your kin, and then really, we die. So is it because of this? Is it because we profane Shabbat? Maybe if we never profane Shabbat, we wouldn't? We don't know. Because I think we all do somehow. I think even the ultra-Orthodox do in some way. So it's an interesting concept to play with, a larger, bigger concept. Yes?
I'm also looking at everything pretty much in this whole book is ways that we differentiate ourselves from other people.
Yeah.
We circumcise ourselves, we have different dietary laws,
Yeah.
we keep Shabbat, other people don't, and maybe it's metaphorical. If you stop keeping Shabbat, the people die, not just individuals. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, it's Achad Am who said, more than the people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the people, right? So it's that concept that we're interconnected, that it does separate us. And even if we're doing the Reform version or any other version, just thinking about it, doing it occasionally, coming to a bar bat mitzvah, sitting here in this room, like this is what. So this is why, and we'll look at this in a second, why I love the Reform movement and why I love this piece of text, because I think that we're doing it, by the way. So we'll see. Yes.
Okay, my question is, why is this section here with Shabbat in among, between the golden calf and the ornaments of the tabernacle? Why is it placed right there?
Why is this section on Shabbat placed where it is in the text after the building of the tabernacle materials, right, on the system in which we build, and the golden calf? So let me be rabbinic for a second and take all my years of schooling and ask you, why do you think that's when that's 6 years of school of post-undergrad to formulate. Why do you think so?
Well, I'm curious. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to answer my great, deep rabbinic question?
I think it's because even though this is important to build, you shouldn't do it on Shabbat. That even when you're building the most important things, you should still, no matter how important you think whatever you're working on is, you should still stop at Shabbat.
Okay, so right. So I think that's one of the responses, is that as much as you think whatever you're doing is important, Shabbat is also more important. So it's going to be okay. Like the 25 hours of whatever you were doing before is going to be there in the same exact spot as it was before. And you know what? In those 25 hours, you might be better. Just as a side note, I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey. If you've never read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you should. It's a really, really excellent book. It's old but timeless and brilliant, and there are 25,000 billion iterations of it now you can get, kids ones. But the seventh habit is something called sharpen the saw, and it's a story about two wood choppers and who work for two competing wood chopping companies. And one of the wood choppers is chopping, chop, doesn't stop, and the other wood chopper stops and sharpens his saw. And the wood chopper who doesn't stop says, you're going to lose out on a lot of your time in business. And the one who sharpens his saw says, you have no idea. I'm going to take a break myself. I'm going to sharpen my saw, and I'm going to outdo you. And the end of that story in the book is that that's true, right? The sharpening your saw guy beats out the guy who chop constantly. Because if you don't sharpen your saw, quote unquote, then you're doing nothing. It just gets more and more dull and more dull, and so regardless, Shabbat, even if it's a mini Shabbat, this is what I like to say, like even if Shabbat is right now, like this moment, even if you consecrate this time and then you go out into the world and go back to work, it's at least like it's just a little different. It's just something that's different and special that makes us different. Exactly what you said, like this is what God is saying. Make us a little bit different and special. That's what our job is. We're the chosen people, not like because we're like, ooh, we're chosen. Chosen people because it's incumbent upon us to try and do these things. It's actually harder to be chosen. Yes.
So a lawyer friend missed one little point, maybe.
Oh, lawyer friend, here we go. Uh-oh.
Mechilta.
Yes.
I've been studying it.
Yeah.
It said the reason it says without warning will be cut off is because in the Mechilta you were getting no warning. You were going to just be killed.
Well, okay.
So without warning.
Yeah.
Which Talmudically and from a Beit Din point of view, we know that if someone was going to be put to death for something, there would have been warnings given.
Okay.
Don't do this or here there was going to be no warning.
And so nice. And thank you, by the way. Also, death might not be necessarily death. So just think of that. I gave you the example of how my grandfather would not dare roll out his taxi on Shabbat, even though he could make some business with the people who he knew who needed a ride. Because that's death. That was community death. It wasn't worth it for him. The money he was going to make, it wasn't worth it for him to go and do it because he get punished for it. It's death doesn't have to be like get your head chopped off. It could be just death for you. Like it could be the end of you, essentially. And so we have to keep it in some way. Yes.
It's a spiritual death.
Yeah.
On a personal level, I find life very challenging. I'm sure everybody does. This is time out for me, and I love it. That's why I say it's my favorite portion.
Yeah. It's time out. It's forced time out. And by the way, it's kind of nice. If you even tried to do it once, if you've not either experienced it yourself or been to someone's house who is completely observant and keeps Shabbat, there's something really nice, particularly if you're in a house of people who've been doing it for a long time. So it's kind of mechanical for them in some way, which is an interesting duality that it's mechanical for them, that you should appreciate it, but it's mechanical. But there's something nice about knowing that you don't really have to do anything, or you're just going to focus on your family or yourself or food or celebrating, or studying, or sleeping, or sex, or alcohol, or being with your neighbors. This is why there's an eruv, right? The eruv eventually comes up. That's the extension of your house. That's why if you're in an eruv with someone, you can go and see all your friends and your family and walk over and bring the cakes and the food and sit with them and study and and bring several cakes and a bottle of scotch. Like, what's better than that? I mean, what's better than spending the entire afternoon like eating, drinking scotch and studying together? I don't know. I would love that. So, what's that? And sleeping afterwards because you've had too much scotch. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So why not take that break? So I just want to point out a couple of quick things about this section past this great conversation that we're having right now. If you go to verse 16, it's the Veshamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat. That's it. It's literally the Veshamru. So when we use it and it appears to us in our liturgy, it's because we pluck it out of the Torah here and we shove it into a prayer book. And every prayer book on the planet, by the way, has it. Reform, conservative, Reconstructionist, Orthodox, doesn't matter. Everyone has Veshamru. And so, why do I love Veshamru so much? Because it says so, Veshamru, which means, and you shall keep, Veshamru, Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, Et ha-Shabbat, and then here's my favorite word, actually. It's the 6th Hebrew word in verse 16. So if you're trying to follow along, it's the 6th word in verse 16. It says la'asot. La'asot. And la'asot means, what does la'asot mean? To do. So God is actually asking us to do Shabbat. And what I love about the Reform movement is no one's telling you how to do it. So you get to make an informed choice. And by the way, you get to fulfill exactly what the Torah says. You're not even going to be concerned about being cut off from your kin or being put to death. Because it says, la'asot et ha-Shabbat. So as long as you are going to do Shabbat, you're good. According to this piece of text for me. How you do it, it doesn't matter to me, right? But I think that more importantly, as a Reform movement, we at least have to do it. And by the way, that doing it can be inconsistent. It can be very consistent. It can be traditionally, literally, not tearing toilet paper, not carrying anything, not using electricity. That counts. Or it can be coming here. Because I think that you're doing Shabbat by coming here. Is it hanging out with your friends? Is it, as long as you are la'asoting, meaning as long as you are doing like you're supposed to be doing, then I think you're fulfilling Shabbat. And that's why I love this phrase, and that's why I love how it's paired with our informed choice.
That's why we like you.
So that's why I love it. But you have to do it. That's the only thing. You can't just be like, I know it's Shabbat, I don't care. That's not even in the Reform movement. You're outside of. This is where you're in danger of not being in the club, right? So as long as we're doing something, anything, any acknowledgement of it whatsoever, studying in your house, no one even knows that you're doing it. It's all personal too. No one's coming to check on what you're doing. I mean, we see each other here, but. So as long as it's in our houses or it's our conversations or we're observing it somehow or we're connecting to somehow, studying, then we're doing it. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam brit olam, because it's the covenant that we make. It's the covenant that we make for us to be able to do it, and the covenant is between us, Bnei Israel, and that's why we're special. That's why we're the chosen people in the hard and difficult way, not in the, we're chosen, hey. Not in that sort of way, but in the, we're chosen. So now we got to really do this. In that kind of way, in the tough way. And then we get the reminder at the end, Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, 4 and 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day, God stopped working, and God was refreshed. In the same way that if we do like sharpening the saw, we can be refreshed in the same way. And it's the best word ever for refreshed, by the way. In Hebrew, it says vayinafash, which is what? It's your soul, because your nefesh is your soul. So vayinafash is as if your soul is cleansed. It's like the whole thing gets reset. It's really designed to be a beautiful, sort of transient, just get it out. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the whole soul cleanse. Not one of those cleanses you do with the beverages you have to do and do the cleanse. Like, I'm doing a 3-day cleanse. Yeah, it's a 25-hour soul cleanse. Yes?
Well, like the first Amida is like, well, I just understand the English, but it says something like on this day, like, let me just find peace and quiet on this day.
Yeah.
On this day, let me just basically abide and just relax.
Exactly. Yeah, may we find solace on this day. And by the way, it's not easy. It's really hard to rest. By the way, I'm not good at resting. Some people are very good at resting. I'm terrible at resting. So it's also, you have to, it's not easy. It sounds beautiful and it sounds romantic and it sounds so lovely, and you go and you see your neighbor and you bring the beverage over and you sit and you drink. But that's not, you have to, it's a lot of logistics that has to go into that. You have to prepare yourself. It's sort of like going on a vacation, by the way. I'm a terrible preparation vacationer, and I'm a terrible vacationer, and I'll tell you why. I have a lot of stress preparing for my vacation. Then I get onto my vacation, and if let's say it's a week, it takes me like 3 days to calm down. Then I'm only really relaxing for 3 days, because on the end of the third day, I'm thinking that I have to leave. So I'm a terrible relaxer. So really, of a 7-day relaxation period, I'm really only relaxing for 3. So I should go for 10 days. Thank you very much. Thank you for solving that. I knew you were very good at math, Harry. Thank you. So it was Bob's idea. Well, he has to know the chemistry and the stuff for being a dentist. So thank you. Thank you very much for the two of you. So it's hard. And so, by the way, when you go away on vacation, at least I do, you have to prepare for your vacation. You can't just be like, all right, see ya. You have to like do mail holds or tell neighbors or board pets or prepare things. You can't just like, boop, boop, bye. Some people can. I can't do that. But you have to, and the preparation you have to put into it so that you can enjoy it is the same with Shabbat, which is why it's so beautiful to go out to the shuk, by the way, in Israel on a Friday, because the frenzy of the preparation is just delicious to sit there and watch like the freaking out so that they can rest. Go, 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 go. Run, faster, faster. Elbow. That cucumber is for me. Oh, and Shabbat Shalom. Yeah. So, yes, a couple of comments, and then we're going to wrap up. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
The 7 days.
Yes.
Is that a uniquely Jewish thing? Because it's the only time frame that we have that is no physical counterpart. Days, months, years, all have a physical counterpart.
Go on. I think you're smarter. You're smarter than me. So go on.
The 7-day concept
Yes.
is a unique thing in and to itself. It's not like 10 days, 10 fingers.
That's true.
It's totally unique. So is this something that came out of Torah, or was this some historical reference to other cultures?
As far as I know, it's this. I mean, I don't know and I have a religion major, so I could talk to you about like the story of like Gilgamesh and other religious connections. I don't know anything that has the 6/7 component to it. It is, yeah.
It'd be something people would come up with on their own.
True. Yeah, the cycle of 7 is, from my perspective, it's from here. And we have several of those. I mean, there are certain numbers that we always follow. We have 7s, we have 4s, a lot of different things. And so there are a lot of cycles for us that are very similar. But I don't know per se. Yeah.
I have a logistical question.
Yes.
So it says, God said to Moses, speak to the heard this whole spiel yet.
Oh, they have.
They have.
Yeah, this is not the first time that their Shabbat has been mentioned.
So they go from this to the golden calf,
Yes,
and it's like, hello?
yes, yes.
You know, they just heard all this about, this is what you should do, and you built this wonderful thing, and this is what you should do for Shabbat, and if you don't, this is what'll happen, and then they go right to the golden calf.
Which is why, by the way, after the golden calf incident, which is in this Torah portion, God wants to kill everyone. This is God's furious. God's prepared to kill everyone, which is why Moses is incredibly important here, because Moses is like, it won't look good. But yes, I mean, God's infuriated. Look, we just went this whole beautiful story on the thing, and I explained how you built the tabernacle. It sounds so pretty. Here's the rest, and I rested. You're going to rest. We're going to rest together. The whole thing is lovely. Everyone's going to have scotch. God loves scotch. It's just so nice. And then, boom. So it's if we had time for the golden calf, which I purposely sort of left off the golden calf conversation. I thought we'd talk about Shabbat today, but if we talked about the golden calf, it's just a huge error. We just make a huge mistake. It's an Israelite error that it's part of the DNA of our mess up that we get to carry with us. Which is, by the way, why there is a midrash that says that we carried the broken tablets with us the whole time. That the new set is in the top part of the tabernacle and the broken set is the bottom part of the tabernacle, because we schlepped the broken pieces the whole time, which first of all made the tabernacle much heavier, obviously, but the burden, like the physical burden, but also the mental and a spiritual and emotional burden that God put us through to be like, no, you're going to carry this forever. And look, we're carrying it forever. So it kind of works, because it's forever and ever we made this mistake. Like, we can't get out of the fact that we made this mistake. So it's so crazy that it happens in this spot. Yeah.
Not to get too off topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Aaron seems to be the ringleader of the golden calf. Why is he allowed to be the high priest out there?
Right. There's a lot of commentary that tries to go after him. A lot of commentary that tries to rescue him. Let's go with rescue for the sake of this discussion and say it wasn't him, that they compelled him to do it, that they said, like, you're going to do it or we're going to kill you, essentially. There's commentary that says you're going to do it or we're going to kill you. And so why does he get to be the high priest? After that, it's because it was designated maybe prior, and so it's kind of a done deal. It's also not such a bad idea to have a leader who is a leader that's also flawed. That's another way to look at it. And then even the worst of the worst, as we can think about, by the way, is that what's his punishment is that his sons die. So that's a creepy and uncomfortable explanation. Fast forward to your question, is that 2 of his sons will die in a few weeks in the strange fire. And so some people say that that's the punishment for his lack of faith, and it's how it comes through. There's all kinds of weird nuance with Aaron. So he also doesn't get to go to Israel. So there's all these different. So yes. So there's a lot of those, a lot of the complication that has. He sees Miriam die first, and then he dies, and then Moses dies. There's a lot of like bad stuff in that we could piece together. This is why it's an interesting story, because everyone's human. No one's perfect. So you got the last statement, Marcia.
Okay. I saw something on TV yesterday that was really fascinating. Scientists have discovered that the universe exists on a rhythm, almost like a musical note. And I'm thinking, Shabbat is the pause.
Oh, I love it. So Marcia said that she was watching something on TV that said that the universe is really based on some type of a rhythm, that everything is functioning in some sort of a universal rhythm, but Shabbat is that pause in that rhythm. That the Shabbat might be that like that little breath that we take in that rhythm. I think it's a beautiful thing to say, particularly on Shabbat. It's very nice. I love it. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of the wonderful Robin Kuda, and I'm going to go help officiate a bar mitzvah. Thank you for the great, fabulous conversation, everyone. I'm turning off the live stream also. So there's Zoom though. So those of you on live stream, if you want to stay on, switch to Zoom. Zoom is on, turning off live